Thank you for watching this episode of Locked In, powered by AT&T. Now, when I say to you the most important aspect of any 2K game is blank, what do you fill that blank in with? Comment it down below. I'm curious what you guys think. Now, over the last few weeks on various social media platforms, the NBA 2K26 Builder has been a hot topic. And I just think as a community, we have a flawed understanding of what makes a good builder. A lot of people are saying they want to go back to pie charts or archetypes, double archetypes. They want a completely new builder. They want to keep the builder system we have now. Now, whatever your thought process is, it's your opinion. You're allowed to have it. But I don't think people really understand, even past games, what makes a good builder versus a bad builder. The builder is not an isolated thing. The builder is not something that we can just say, I want XYZ builder and the game will be great. Because the builder is completely dependent upon the gameplay that comes with it. There's a lot of people on Twitter saying they want to go back to an old build system. Let's use pie charts, for example. They'll say, oh, 2K20, there were so many builds I could make, and it was because the pie charts. It was not because of the pie charts. It was because of the gameplay working with the pie charts. The gameplay allowed multiple pie charts to be effective. For example, my favorite build of all time is my LeBron build from 2K20. That build had a 65 three-pointer. Now, if you took that build system and that build and put it with 2K25 gameplay, I would not be able to run point guard in Comp Pro-Am with a 65 three-pointer. It's just not gonna happen in 2K25 gameplay. It just wouldn't happen. The gameplay would not allow it. Also, the thing my build did best in 2K20 was slash and playmake. It was a yellow-blue pie chart. I had half finishing, half playmaking. I was quick. I could dunk everything. I think my build had about an 89 driving dunk. An 89 dunk on 2K25 is like a decent finishing build. Not super elite, not super trash, but right in the middle. So you can still dunk, but you're not super elite. My build in 2K20 was dunking everything, but that's what the gameplay allowed with an 89 driving dunk. An 89 driving dunk on 2K25 is night and day difference compared to 2K20. Now, it's a beautiful thing that every year we come together as a community to share these opinions with each other, and shout out to AT&T for keeping me connected with the 2K community. So the gameplay has a huge effect on what the builder is going to allow to be effective. Now, we've talked a lot about how the gameplay affects the builder, but even something as small as animation thresholds can affect how you view a builder tremendously. Let's think about 2K25. The cutoff for guards most people use is 6'4", because Garland dribble style cuts off at 6'4", and Patty Mills jump shot base cuts off at 6'4". People don't even look at a 6'5" guard for the most part. If in 2K25 they allowed Garland dribble style and Patty Mills jump shot base to go 1 inch higher, all of a sudden you would see a bunch of different guard builds that you haven't seen all year. So not only does the gameplay have a big impact, but also the animation cutoff thresholds have a big impact. I'm not only talking about the attribute cutoff thresholds, but also the height cutoff thresholds. Those can have a huge impact on the diversity that we view a builder having, but it really isn't the builder, it's the animations. Let's use this as an example. Y'all saw that stupid little TikTok going around that in season 8 of NBA 2K25, there's gonna be no more height caps on animations. First of all, I don't know how y'all be falling for these TikToks. People just straight up lie on TikTok, and then everybody's coming to me like, bro, is this true? Are you really taking over Ronnie's job? Like, bro, you saw it in a TikTok. Like, check some sources. Let's be realistic. But back to the animations. If they were to make that little change of just removing the height caps, and I'm not saying this is the solution, I'm just saying use it as an example. If that happened, think about how different the game would be. Think about how many different builds would now become viable and people would be creating it, and how much more diversity it would have. Now, I'm not saying that's the solution. I'm just saying open your mind up to just how that simple little change all of a sudden would make a ton of other builds viable. A lot of people come into my stream or comment on my videos, Joe, what builder do you want in 2K26? To me, it's not like a simple answer. I can't just say, I want this without knowing what the gameplay is going to be. It's like you asking me, Joe, let's race vehicles. What vehicle do you want? It's like you didn't even explain what we're like. I could pick a car and you tell me we're racing on water. I have to know what we're racing. You could tell me, oh, we're racing 100 meters or we're racing across the country. If we're racing 100 meters, I'm gonna pick a fast ass car. If we're racing across the country, I'm gonna pick a plane. You know what I'm saying? So the gameplay, you have to know what you're getting into with the gameplay before you can say, okay, I want this type of builder. So even if the builder promotes diversity, let's say 2K25 builder, you can literally put the attributes wherever you want. But because the gameplay doesn't promote diversity as well, it becomes very narrow-minded in terms of the build you're going to see. There's a multitude of factors with the gameplay we could talk about because of the shooting RNG. You know, the people are going to go with the 99-3, the 99 rebound, shoot it. If you miss, get the rebound, that whole thing. The fact that medium-sized players can't speed boost normally, right? You can't run to your ball hand unless you're doing the no speed with ball. Whole method of dribbling, which, you know, a casual player probably isn't going to take the time to learn how to do. And the list goes on and on. The gameplay does not promote diversity, although the builder allows you to make whatever you want for the most part. You guys understand what I'm saying. If they don't work together, it doesn't matter that the builder allows you to make quote unquote whatever you want, because the gameplay is restricting what builds can be effective. Let's use the flip side example since we were talking about pie charts, 2K20, all that. Put this builder in 2K20 gameplay. Think about how different now you perceive this builder. But that's because the gameplay on 20 allowed for a whole bunch of things. You had two-way slashing playmakers playing point guard in comp scenarios. Some of them had 60, 70 something three-point ratings. The gameplay is what allowed that. So now think about this builder where you can put the attributes wherever you want. With that gameplay, you would see a whole bunch of different builds come out that you never even thought were possible. But it's the same builder, but it's going to be utilized completely different because the gameplay is promoting something different. Another one people always talk about is archetypes and double archetypes. Go back and look at some of those builders that you used to play on back in the day. Imagine those builders with the 25 gameplay. You would view those builds completely differently. But because you were playing with archetypes in 2K17 and double archetypes in 2K19, that gameplay was so different to 25 that you remember those builders and say, man, like I really like those builders. Like I feel like I could play on different builds that I really like. The gameplay was allowing those builds to be fun, allowing those builds to be effective. The reason you would feel completely different about it is because the gameplay now doesn't promote things like it did back in the day. It's not just a builder thing. It's a builder gameplay harmony that has to mesh that allows for that diversity. Another example is pie charts. 2K20 had pie charts. So did 21 and 22. And 21 and 22 actually had more pie chart options. Because the gameplay on 21 and 22 was different than 20, it became very narrow-minded. On 21, it became strictly play shot, paint beast on the twos. But back on 2K20, you saw a whole bunch of stuff. You saw post lockdown, you saw shot creator, paint beast, shot creator, pop, stretch big type of build, facilitating finishers, two-way slashing playmakers, playmaking paint beast, double ISO lockdown, small playmaking shooting type of point guards with paint beasts or poppers. There was a whole bunch of diversity, not just because the builder was very similar in 21, but the gameplay was different in 21 as opposed to 20. So the harmony wasn't there in terms of promoting the diversity that everyone's asking for. Now, I've been talking about this concept for years. If you get a diverse builder with gameplay promoting diversity, then you get that perfect harmony, and it's gonna be a beautiful year of 2K. Now, shout out to AT&T for keeping me connected to the 2K community all season long, and thank you for watching this episode of Locked In, powered by AT&T.